Hello. Well, I decided we'd do a little halftime reaction. So Everton nil, Arsenal won. Um, the the score that I unfortunately expected, but not in the means of which we got there. Put it this way: I think Everton actually started very strong. Were quite disciplined. I was worried about what Dwight McNeil was going to do on that right side. I think he was very quite effective playing as a sort of a right wing back defensively. And the second we went and had possession, he was a little bit more advanced. We honestly started quite well. The only thing that scared me was that back pass from Tiano Barry that Michael Keane had an excellent sliding tackle that was a could have been a red card if he just missed it, but it was really well timed. We actually like they Arsenal didn't seem to have an avenue for goal for a fair while there. We didn't have, but if you look at the stats, we didn't have a shot on target. There was a couple of those, like there was a corner and maybe a throw in where or a long throw where we got a foot to it and just missed. But basically, the game changed right around the time of the first VAR penalty shout, and the consequent corner led to the handball. So I'll bring up the the graphic, which is not a nice graphic to see, but I think it's fitting for what we have here. So let me bring that up. Add file. Where are we? Okay. Is it loaded? There we go. Here we go. So this photo, is it still loading? What's it doing? There we go. Yeah, there we are. So effectively, Jake O'Brien, and I think to explain what happened, I will try to do my creative best here. Just before there was a penalty shout. It wasn't a penalty because he went down way too easy. Where Jokeres was on the back post, um, and Jake O'Brien was right next to him, and I think it was a cross from Saka that went off Mikalenko's foot. So the crowd were quite revved up. I don't think they noticed the contact, so they thought, "Why this wasn't a corner? What's going on? It shouldn't be a corner," but it was. And the consequent corner kick from I guess the left side, it came in to Calafiori, and it seems as if Jake O'Brien was either not paying attention for a moment, but effectively lost flight of the ball. When he comes up to jump, he uses both arms, and I think was legitimately did not know where Calafiori was. So he started jumping. His arms got caught in the middle of him jumping with a body next to him, so he couldn't get his arms down. They were trapped in the air, and it was the most obvious "What are you doing, Jake O'Brien?" type moment. Because Calafiori, at the exact moment that Jake O'Brien started jumping and extended his arms, was right in his space, and effectively he couldn't get his arms down fast enough. I was saying to to Wes on while that was happening, it was almost like you're trying to go on a bus and your arms are extended and it's too crowded to put your arms down. It was a little bit like that, and unfortunately, that mistake by Jake O'Brien, not being aware, not reading the flight of the ball, getting distracted, likely from what just happened from the previous VAR penalty shout that wasn't called. I have a bad feeling affected him at that moment, and he didn't get his mind settled. And at that moment, that changed the entire match. So until that point, Arsenal didn't seem to have any avenue in on goal, and Everton's defensive strategy and plan, and even bringing the ball forward, was very effective. We were actually winning the first header or second header, still having the ball in their half, and just making it a little bit difficult for them. Arsenal didn't look dangerous. We've been talking about in the on the pre match what was going to happen with Trossard. He didn't do that much, honestly. It just effectively Saka got more influential, and what really happened is the second Everton were behind, we were predictable because Arsenal know that we have to go at them. And what that meant also is every time we would have to it come out from the back because guess what? We need a score. It would allow the likes of Declan Rice, Zubamendi, or Erdegaard to drop deeper. to basically dictate the play, and Everton were pulled out of position to start chasing. We didn't seem as cohesive, and our game strategy just seemed a little bit lost. So they were able to pass around us because they're quite capable, especially the likes of Declan Rice and Odegaard and the ball, that they're excellent at it. We started running, chasing, not being cohesive, and Arsenal basically dictated the entire match from that point onwards. The next question becomes, what do we do differently? And that was my worry when I looked at the starting lineups today and our bench. We have three options, and one is just hope that Charlie Alcaraz and Tiana Barry pull this off because they're isolated. And you saw just before the end there, I think it was Saliba came in with a well-timed challenge, but effectively we were hitting, hoping, knocking it back to the keeper, going long, and they were predicting it too often. We weren't changing our looks going forward. It was really difficult and frustrating. And I think this is from JShaw94. This is probably where I'm kind of getting at here. So he needs to abandon ship and put men forward, need to do some decent football. If we get beat, this feels very dicey. Meaning, yeah, we're down 1-0, heads drop. We're not going to win this. How's that? How are we going to get a result? We can't manufacture anything because Arsenal know our only way forward. Until the goal, though, what was interesting, yeah, we didn't have a shot on target, but it didn't feel that way in the match. We were in their half, putting pressure on, and there was these moments where like Odegaard came up from the back. Tim-Erik Burnham, I think it was, chased and did a slide tackle and almost got a turnover in a key area. The pressing was working. They were baiting us, but they were hardly able to do anything with it in these positions. And they were very lucky at times where they just got around us, and that pressure was clearly building. If I look at the sofa score, let me see if I can share screen on this. It may not perfectly depict it, but we'll go through here and have a look, see if it's coming through. Let me hide my face a little better. How about that? Yeah. So what we had was effectively, and it's really hard to see on the screen, unfortunately, without zooming in. So I might try it, but it may not work. We'll see. There we go. This little guy. That here, the attacking momentum. So the Arsenal basically had no answers at the beginning. If the attacking momentum is meant to be Arsenal blue, they effectively had no attacking threat whatsoever. Everton had that little period there where we had a couple flick-ons. We didn't convert. We had a corner that was, I think it was, Charlie Alcaraz, where like there was a plan. I think Jack Grealish got notes from Moisey and said, we're going to come in and we have a strategy for that corner. They almost converted, but they didn't. So then because of that, that green spell goes away. Arsenal were asking questions, but again, they weren't dangerous, but they were in the box testing us a little more. Then that penalty happens, and effectively just Arsenal ran the remainder of that half. So and the other challenge now is it felt the second we're behind, Everton, we're not providing enough options, and we don't have a plan B. We have 3 players on the bench that can do anything, that have a chance to make an impact, and that's it. They have an entire, basically, Everton level squad on the bench ready to go. So we have a Tyler Dibling that maybe this is a moment for him, but if the fans are annoyed, thinking that we're just not going to manufacture anything, is that really the time that Tyler Dibling is going to come on and shine? Maybe. Beto, if he's in a similar situation to what Barry's been given, it's poor delivery, long balls, hope, and basically rare moments where he's going to have to pair up maybe with Jack, maybe with more likely a more fatigued Alcaraz by the end of the match. What's Beto going to be doing on his own to take on the likes of a world class in Saliba and what was it, Calafiori is on the left, it's Hincape in the middle, and then Timber, who's quite industrious as well. So I don't see at the moment what our avenue is. I think men forward, absolutely, and a little bit more courage in the middle. Eric Burnham and James Garner weren't the problem, but what we did find was once they dropped deeper, and Arsenal were moving around us, and we were playing very stagnant and stationary. But I would say the first 20 to 25 minutes, Garner and Eric Burnham had a lot of industrious nature, one tackles, and were doing a great job. How do we get Everton to get competitive again and combat Arsenal in possession through that midfield, because that they were dictating? And I don't know what Moyes' strategy is, but we have to find a way to pressure the ball carrier instead of letting them basically spray balls all over the place. So I think coming back maybe to a slightly different formation, putting an extra body in the middle rather than worrying about having McNeil playing so deep and doubling up with O'Brien, because at the moment, yes, O'Brien may be lacking confidence, and that's an avenue there, but for them to come in. But I think we just need an extra body in the middle rather than worrying about width. And yes, Arsenal did a great job having basically paint on the boot, very similar to Pep Guardiola's Jack Grealish when he was out wide for them. You had Trossard and Saka playing really wide, basically scraping paint and chalk off on the sidelines to pull and widen us. But a lot of the time, it didn't seem like they were that menacing down that right side. So maybe we just need to invert McNeil and bring him more central to help with the numbers in the middle, to allow the likes of Eric Burnham to advance with Charlie closer to Barry to get those turnovers and pressure the ball carrier. To me, that's what I'm thinking. Anyway, I'm going to head back to get some breakfast for me. It's about 5 a.m. And grab another coffee before halftime's over. But yeah, it's not over, but I just don't see at the moment how we manufacture it. My thought has to be Moyes needs to come up with a slightly different strategy, control the midfield, pressure their ball carriers, and also come up with a creative way to not let Odegaard and Declan Rice dictate the play. Saka's looking dangerous. Mikalenko's on a yellow card. Something to worry about there. And yeah, miracles happen. It's not Christmas yet, but we're getting close. Anyway, we'll see you at full time, hopefully with a different result. And until then, up the toffees.